Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Today's legislation contains provisions I welcome to address some of the behaviours which plague my constituents in Esher and Walton and which were allowed to flourish under the previous Conservative government. My constituents will welcome a serious and renewed focus on combating shoplifting and antisocial behaviour. But the Conservative decimated our police community support officers. In Surrey, they fell by 29% between 2015 and 22, and they eroded the close relationship between police and the communities they serve. Ultimately, the provisions in this bill are intended to make places like Esher and Walton safer, must be backed by genuine and sustained commitment to community policing and by giving officers the time and resources to build trust and understanding with those they exist to protect. In the last 12 months, the arrests made by Surrey Police for shop thefts have more than doubled. This is not merely a case of officers solving a higher percentage of crimes. In fact, the number of thefts detected by police also more than doubled. Surging levels of shoplifting are utterly corrosive for high streets in places like Esher and Walton. They impose costs on retailers, and they undercut the faith residents have in law enforcement and the ability of politics to get things done. So I hope the government will pursue this with urgency. The same is true when antisocial behaviour is not dealt with. I've received far too many emails and letters from constituents struggling with the conduct of neighbours. In these cases, the actions of a few can impose severe strains on so many. As one constituent wrote to me, there is an issue of fairness. Ordinary people come for a quiet life, have work to do, and have been left exhausted by noise, disruptions, and even threatening behaviours coming from a small group. And I recognise that this bill accordingly highlights housing providers as relevant agencies with a role to play in tackling antisocial behaviour. At the same time, when people feel threatened, there is no substitute for recognisable neighbourhood policing with deep links to the community. So can the Minister assure this House, particularly considering the criminal sanctions attached to breaches of the Respect Order, that community police will receive funding in line with the vital role they have to play in ensuring the government's new orders do not become meaningless? Finally, may I also address the support and protection of police officers? The police deserve protection from abuse. The Public Order Act of 1986 was enhanced in 1998 to allow racially and religiously motivated abusive language or behaviour when directed towards emergency workers to be treated as an aggravating factor. However, a loophole currently exists in the legislation such that if this particular form of abuse occurs when both parties are in the perpetrator's private dwellings, it is not treated as an aggravating factor. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is wrong. It leaves a mistaken impression that there are some circumstances in which racial abuse of emergency workers is acceptable and fails to deter this behaviour. Will the Minister therefore commit to re-examining this and exploring the possibility of finally removing this anomaly? Thank you.